Now, from Nebraska's trusted news source, this is Channel 8 News at 5.
Coming up on the news, the latest details on several mass shootings from over the weekend. And we're going to take you to a local protest concerning gun control.
Plus, financial anxiety. Americans are more stressed than ever when it comes to their money. We take a look at ways to ease that stress.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this Monday. We're going to have those stories, of course, in a little bit. But first tonight, we want to start with your weather. Severe storms moving through the state today.
Some areas we're even seeing hail at one point this afternoon as big as tennis balls. So let's go over to meteorologist Malcolm Byron for the very latest in what's happening in our state right now weather-wise. Malcolm?
Fortunately, that one lone supercell thunderstorm in eastern Nebraska has since weakened. It's actually pushing through Seward County right now, but nothing severe at this point in time. I want to show you a live view outside the station over our groundworks camera looking off to the northwest, and you can see some dark skies out that way, and if you look close you can even see a rain shaft as well. Now, earlier on today we had some pretty big hail, 2-inch diameter hail reported in St. Edward and southeastern Boone County. In northern Boone County we had golf ball size hail reported, and both of these reports came in the time frame of about 2:30 to 3 o'clock. The largest report I've seen so far is about 2-inch diameter hail, but the potential was there for up to tennis ball size hail. Here's the radar loop over the last several hours. A very strong storm when it was off to the north, but it has since weakened. You don't see a lot of pinks on radar imagery right now, just some heavy rain moving into Seward County, and even some light to moderate rain in northwest Lancaster County over Branch Oak Lake. We are watching off to the northwest as well this evening. We got a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for western Blaine County. Zooming in very closely there, a clear hook echo just to the northeast of Thedford. Don't think we're seeing any tornadic activity out of this just yet, just some very large hail with this one. We do have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect mainly to the northwest of the Tri-Cities, in effect for the yellow shaded counties until 10 o'clock tonight. And most of the severe weather this evening will mainly remain to the northwest of the Tri-Cities. However, tomorrow we do have the chance to see severe weather in southeast Nebraska. We'll have the details on that coming up in my Storm Alert Team forecast.
We'll talk to you soon, Malcolm. Thank you very much. Now to the latest mass shootings across the country. Investigations are currently ongoing in Phoenix, Philadelphia, and Chattanooga, where those shootings took place over the weekend.
A new ABC News poll showing 70% of Americans believe new laws to reduce gun violence should be a priority. ABC's Raina Roy has more as we cover the nation.
Buffalo, Uvalde, and Tulsa. Now Chattanooga, Phoenix, and Philadelphia. More and more American cities being rocked by mass shootings.
It is enough. We have come to the point where it is enough.
3 people dead and 11 others injured on this busy street in Philadelphia Saturday night. Now the district attorney's office planning to charge those responsible for the bloodshed.
There must have been 30 shots, I heard.
Exclusive video obtained by ABC News shows the moments before gunfire broke out. Investigators say 2 men were fighting, then began shooting, which led to the carnage. In Phoenix over the weekend, 8 people shot and a 14-year-old girl killed. And in Chattanooga, Tennessee, 3 people killed and 14 injured when police say multiple gunmen opened fire at a nightclub Saturday night. That city's second mass shooting in a week.
Help us, Lord, help us. Please, God, help us.
There have been more mass shootings than days in the year so far. In only 157 days, there have been at least 246 mass shootings, defined as 4 or more people shot or killed. A small group of bipartisan lawmakers are continuing to meet this week to discuss gun reform. Proposals include red flag laws, expanded background checks, and funding for mental health and school security. The House Judiciary Committee passed a package of gun reform measures last week. The full House will vote this week before it goes to the Senate, where it's expected to fail.
I am hoping and I am praying that we can offer more this time than just thoughts and prayers. So let's get off of our knees and pass this legislation to protect the people that we represent.
On Wednesday, a young student who survived the Uvalde massacre by playing dead in her classroom will testify before the House Oversight Committee, along with the mother of one of the victims in the Buffalo, New York mass shooting. Raina Roy, ABC News, New York.
And calls for gun control grow louder and louder in the wake of those mass shootings. Some of those voices being heard right here in Lincoln.
Many saying change has to happen now to protect lives. In direct response to the Uvalde shooting, community members in Lincoln joined the 450 other marches happening across the nation. This was the scene at the state capitol over the weekend. The March for Our Lives event was demanding safer gun laws.
We are going to talk to our state legislatures, city council, school board, and we are going to try to get sensible gun reform enacted in our state.
The event had several speakers, including students, teachers, and parents. Many urged those who are old enough to vote to do so in order to make the change that they would like to see.
As a student myself at UNL and with siblings who are in middle and high school, it is very important to make sure that we are letting people know that it's unfair, that we have to live through this fear.
I think we need to start with uniform laws. I think there needs to be universal background checks, red flag laws, magazines that aren't 15 rounds.
Governor Ricketts took the time to respond, saying Nebraska is currently focused on expanding its mental health care in response to the shootings. And speaking of the governor, he wants to make it easier for veterans to get help with their mental health.
The initiative is a partnership between the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs and Mental Health Services. Channel 8's Macy Neumeister shows us how the governor hopes merging these systems creates a smoother path for veterans.
Governor Pete Ricketts announced Monday he is working to better serve Nebraska's service members and veterans.
The men and women who put on the cloth of our country are willing to give their lives in defense of this great nation. And even if they are not called to make that ultimate sacrifice, there are other sacrifices that go along with that. Some of the scars are physical, but some of the scars are psychological. And we want to make sure we're taking care of our veterans who have that.
Director of Behavioral Health Sherry Dawson says hope, help, and healing are available for all service members and veterans.
Our behavioral health strategic plan from 2022 to 2024 emphasizes the opportunity for us to continue to build access, that we have prevention campaigns, that it is okay to ask for help, that we continue to overcome the stigma.
Ricketts and the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs are working with the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration to help end the stigma of veterans looking for mental health services.
There's no one veteran. And just as there's no one veteran, there's no reason why someone would attempt to complete suicide. So we need to come together as a group and to make sure that we do everything that we can and raise the awareness and make sure that our veterans are not alone.
The VA is working towards making service more widely available across the state, including smaller communities. In Lincoln, Macy Neumeister, Channel 8 News.
If you're a veteran and need help, the suicide crisis number is right there at the bottom of your screen, 800-273-8255. Just press 1 to be directed to the veteran hotline.
Keep in mind, you can also text the suicide prevention number, and a trained professional here in Nebraska will immediately respond. In just a handful of days, gas in Nebraska has jumped around 30 cents, even more in some places.
And that pain at the pump isn't predicted to go away anytime soon. According to AAA, the national average jumped to $4.87. That's a 25-cent hike just over the last week and nearly 60 cents in 1 month. There are now states with gas over $5 a gallon. Oil analysts expect the national average to hit over $5 in the next 10 days. As inflation skyrockets prices across the nation, it's having an effect on a lot of people.
A recent study found more than 40% of adults say money is having a negative impact on their mental health. Channel 8's Andrew Ward spoke to a local expert on how to manage your budget during these difficult times.
Americans are more stressed really than ever about their money.
Take a look at the price tag at the pump or the grocery aisle, and it's no wonder that's the case.
People are feeling the effects of rising costs, but they're also feeling the effects of rising interest rates, not so much on their savings, but more on the things that they owe money on their debt.
Tim Kohanic with Stonebridge Insurance and Wealth Management says it's all about finding the right spending plan to avoid financial anxiety.
You need to know where every dollar is going, because when you do, again, it gives you power over your money.
Now, this all means you're paying off your bills on time and not going into debt, which is a growing issue. Across the country, debt rose by more than $52 billion in March alone this year, a 14% annual increase. Kohanek says this can be a tricky process these days.
You might not see prices go up very much for what you're buying, but those items have gotten smaller, right? So there's a few different ways companies can do that. So instead of getting 12 Oreos per row, they're only giving you 9.
Now, Oreos or not, Kohanek says to still have a good time this summer, just know what you're spending.
Go, to the lake, go on vacation, all those things, they just need to be part of the plan. And so it's not, well, in order to go do this, because I want to do it, I'm just going to open a new credit card. That's where people get in trouble.
And don't get stressed out. As hard as that might seem, there are resources available. So Kohanek says not to put it off.
It gets to a point where there's so much information out there that we don't know what information is useful and what information is not useful. So we don't do anything.
But there are people who are willing to help you out. Reporting in Lincoln, Andrew Ward, Channel 8 News.
And we do have a link to some of those resources mentioned up on our website, klkntv.com. Coming up on the news here at 5 o'clock, the latest on the murder of a retired judge in Wisconsin.
And we'll have the latest on your weather right after the break.
We know we're not like all the rest. We know through experience and expertise how to help men.
Authorities are calling a targeted attack left a retired judge in Wisconsin dead.
And the killer may have had bigger plans. ABC's Aaron Kotursky has more.
Law enforcement sources told ABC News investigators are now examining Douglas Udi's social media pages, his computer, and his phone, looking for possible connections to militia movements after he allegedly killed the retired judge who had sentenced him to 6 years in prison.
It's his neighbor's son from across the street is banging on the door stating that someone murdered his father.
Police found the body of retired Judge John Romer early Friday morning. The sources said he was tied to a chair and shot. Officers found Udi in the basement with what authorities said was a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He's clinging to life now in the hospital.
A judge from a rural county is targeted and murdered. It's abhorrent to our judiciary and to leadership in our state and our country. So yeah, it's a horrible situation.
In a car at the scene, law enforcement sources said police discovered a hit list that included the name of the judge and also Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, and Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell.
We have been able to contact the people who we believe may have been targets and to notify them. The others, as far as we are aware, are safe at this point.
The U.S. Marshals Service has said threats to judges have increased in recent years. Some involve disgruntled defendants, others anti-government activists. The Chief Justice of the Wisconsin Supreme Court called Romer's murder a shocking tragedy that took the life of a sharp legal mind and dedicated public servant. Aaron Katursky, ABC News, New York.
Now, your Storm Alert Team forecast with meteorologist Malcolm Byron.
Remember those pop-up showers I mentioned might happen yesterday? Well, you're looking at one right now. A live look over Honda of Lincoln facing off to the northwest. We see some precipitation out that way. A cool shot. I'm sure some of you out west are in a better position to see even cooler photos. So if you happen to take a cool photo, send it to me. I'd love to share it at 6 o'clock tonight. So temperatures right now, 79 degrees in the capital city. We're a little bit warmer off to the south. 84 degrees in Beatrice, 80 in Nebraska City, 83 degrees in Hebron. We see lower 80s out towards the Tri-Cities as well. It's 81 in Grand Island, 81 in Kearney, but a cooler air off to the north. Columbus is sitting at 75 degrees, likely dealing with some rain-cooled air out that way at this moment. So we're dry across most of southeast Nebraska, but there's one lone shower and even a couple of rumbles of thunder at times moving through Seward County. That's where the heaviest rainfall is, but we have a couple of light showers moving into northwestern Lancaster County, about to cross over I-80. Can't rule out a shower or two in the capital city, but it looks like the bulk of this will remain off towards the west in Seward County. Well off towards the west, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Cherry, Thomas, and Blaine County until 5:45 Central Time tonight. It does include the western portions of Blaine County. This at one point had a very, very clear hook echo associated with this. All we're expecting at this point with this one is large hail, but we'll watch this one closely. Eventually this will track into western Blaine County. So the statewide view, we see some thunderstorm activity in the northwestern part of the state, a couple yellow polygons out that way. Those are severe thunderstorm warnings. There's a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for the yellow shaded counties until 10 o'clock tonight. This is mainly northwest of the Tri-Cities, and that's where I think the bulk of the severe weather activity will remain this evening. So we'll pick up Stormcast at 6 o'clock tonight. You see those isolated showers and thunderstorms out west, but they start to become a little bit greater in coverage as the evening wears on. They'll move off to the southeast, and the Tri-Cities could see these as we get closer towards midnight. Some of these could be on the strong to severe side, but again, I think the best chance for severe weather will be north and west of the Tri-Cities. As you get closer to 1 or 2 a.m., we could see a couple of these storms just to the southeast of the Tri-Cities. Chances are a lot of these will just miss Lincoln to the southwest, but we may see some of the leftover shower activity from this, so we can't rule out a shower or thunderstorm in Lincoln, but the bulk of the heavier rain will likely fall just to the southwest of Lincoln. Now that pushes off towards the east, and models are kind of split on what happens on Tuesday morning. We're not going to rule out a shower moving through the area. This model is one of those that shows some decaying showers moving through tomorrow morning. So take the rain gear with you anyways tomorrow morning, whether or not you'll need it. We're not sure at this point, but you'll probably need it for the evening hours. The afternoon will likely remain dry. We may see the sun poke out, and then we have more shower and thunderstorm activity. The radar will likely look very messy tomorrow, and any one of these storms could be on the strong to severe side, and we're keeping storms in the forecast through tomorrow night. This is where I think southeast Nebraska has a better chance to see some severe weather. So the Storm Prediction Center has placed southeast Nebraska under a slight risk for severe weather for the evening on Tuesday. I do think the better chance for severe weather tomorrow is in this orange hatched area just to the southwest of Lincoln, but it's getting awfully close. This will be something we're keeping an eye on. So for tonight, 61 degrees, mostly cloudy. May see some leftover storm activity in the overnight hours. A mix of sun and clouds on Tuesday. evening. Thunderstorms much more likely tomorrow night, 81 the high on Tuesday. Now we've got a one-day break from the precipitation on Wednesday. Decreasing clouds, 78 degrees there. Mostly dry for most of the day on Thursday, but then we have some storms arriving potentially late Thursday. A few of those could last into Friday. And a note about Thursday night storms, those could also be on the stronger side, something else we're keeping an eye on. And then we warm up, 82 on Saturday, 87 on Sunday, and back in the 90s by next Monday.
All right. Thank you very much, Malcolm, for keeping us updated. And a lot going on in the business world these days.
Let's get you updated on some of the big headlines. Parents searching for baby formula will likely be stuck for at least a few more weeks. Production resumed over the weekend at a plant making Similac that's been closed since February. The first runs will be focused on specialty formulas and should start shipping out later this month. House prices on the rise for the past couple of years, but in some cities still haven't come all the way back to the highs seen in the early 2000s. Analysis from Zillow, done for the Wall Street Journal, says home values in nearly 500 cities are still below the levels seen before the 2008 crash. There may be a lot of deals soon on things like activewear and fleeces. Chains like Gap and Macy's say they've been caught by just how fast shoppers are switching away from clothes that were popular during the pandemic and back into more formal wear. And a couple of companies could soon start shipping Venezuelan oil to Europe to make up for the lack of oil from Russia. Reuters says the U.S. is opening the door to shipments 2 years after hitting Venezuela with new sanctions.
And speaking of business, here's a look at Wall Street. Some small positive gains today. The Dow is up 16 points, NASDAQ gaining about 49. Here's some of your local numbers as well. You're watching Channel 8, Nebraska's trusted news source.
This week, the road ahead.
Force is strong with a Star Wars fan in Georgia who spent a year perfecting a life-sized homemade spaceship.
And is now using it to raise awareness and funds for Ukraine. Jeremy Roth has tonight's Take a Look at this.
A Star Wars fan has turned an out-of-this-world personal project into a worldwide fundraiser to benefit Ukraine. Physician and Star Wars fanboy Akaki Lekiachvili, who was raised in the former Russian Republic of Georgia and now lives in the American state of Georgia, started building this amazing, nearly life-sized X-Wing replica in his free time to teach his kids about science and technology. He turned his garage into a lab and says his wife was not thrilled. But 6 years and at least $50,000 in building materials later, he's now tapping into the fervent Star Wars fan base and using this cosmic cosplay craft to try and raise money for Ukraine. His X-Wing was recently displayed at an Atlanta Braves Star Wars night and even has its own Twitter account, which has been liked by none other than Luke Skywalker himself, actor Mark Hamill. Lekiachvili and his wife both have family in countries neighboring Ukraine and says his mission to help is just getting started, invoking the old Jedi proverb, do or do not, there is no try. Speaking of amazing journeys, this 83-year-old adventurer just became the oldest person to personally pilot the Pacific, sailing solo from San Francisco to Japan. It took Kenichi Ori 69 days to complete the voyage, which is the latest in a decades-long career of amazing journeys that started in 1962, when Ori sailed this exact route to become the first person ever to do so solo. 60 years later, Ori says he's not done yet, describing himself as, quote, still in the middle of my youth. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Pretty cool, yeah. All right, let's get a final check of the weather. How's it looking out there as far as severe weather?
Well, in southeast Nebraska, we're really not looking all that. Well, actually, it is looking great in terms of severe weather because I don't think we're going to see much of it this evening. Just a shower moving through Seward County, not packing the same punch that it did earlier on when it was moving through Boone County, dropping all that hail. So some of those raindrops are moving into western Lancaster County, but it looks like most of this will remain west of the capital city.
All right, thank you, Malcolm, and thank you all for joining us.
World News is next. We'll see you back here at 6.
With the Channel 8 Eyewitness News mobile app, you'll be the first to know. Get alerts about breaking news and weather, all in the palm of your hand.
At Comfort Made Mattress Factory, we build each mattress specifically for you right here in our locally owned store. We can even make his side different than hers, backed by our lifetime comfort guarantee.
Closed captioning on Channel 8 Eyewitness News is brought to you by Christensen Hearing Analytics.
See care in a new light at Madonna Rehabilitation Hospitals, where top medical minds lift you up, where the very best in specialized rehabilitation brings out your very best.